Store my cars. Now, this does not mean I'm not going to be driving each and every one of them as frequently as I currently do, but it does mean when I go off on these long trips, like I do quite regularly at the moment, my cars are not going to go flat because they can sit here on trickle chargers. So I've got 3 spaces here. The GT8 is currently in, the LT and the FF. The Focus is just here because I'm going to drive it home in a moment. But fortunately, finally, when I'm away, my cars can be plugged in. Now, what I figured with these 3 spaces is that I'm going to keep 3 more spaces at home. And last time I checked, I currently have 5 cars. These 4 plus the Mini. None of them are going anywhere anytime soon. But that means I've got an empty space. So this has got me thinking. I want to buy a new car. I want to buy a car that is going to feature heavily in content this year for my road trips and adventures, and I will explain why and how I'm going to use each car for different things shortly. But I want your help and your suggestions on what that car is going to be. Now, before I get too far with this, let me show you how the trickle charging works, because I've only ever once done this before when I left the FF down in the south of France with Mr. Delaney. But I've bought myself an extension cable, MSO cerulean blue no less, it had to be done, to basically plug each car in. So the Ferrari has a trickle at the rear, the Aston trickle goes in just behind the driver's seat or the passenger seat, and the McLaren one goes in the bonnet. So I actually need to swap these 2 cars around to make this work, and then park the McLaren in the other way too. So I'm going to do that shortly, but for the minute, I've lined them all up like this because, well, it looks cooler for a photo. Now, I really wish I could spin my camera around and show you the other way around, because in front of me, there are basically cars that make mine look a little bit simple. There are some very special machines in here, but those will forever stay private for obvious reasons. I'm in a car storage location, I can't show you that. But what I can do also is show you something else that I've recently acquired, which is going to be very helpful. So in the back of the Focus RS here, I currently have a set of tyres. I have a set of LT Pirelli Trofeo Rs. But a big thanks and shout out to Richbrook, who have hooked me up with these tyre bags. Basically, because I've got this set, I've got the summer tyres for the Focus RS and the summer tyres for the FF, both of which are on the winter tyres at the moment. And I have to keep these all somewhere, and it makes it so much better for travelling and storing them and whatever, without having to worry about the dirtiness of tyres. So they're all living in the tyre bags, and you can mark them by which corner. So that's one of the fairly large rear ones right there. So that makes my life a little bit easier. Getting back then to what this is all about. What new car and why? Well, I've just had a ludicrous travel period. As you probably know, I went to Germany, then to France, then over to South Africa, back to France, and I've been to other places that I haven't yet shared the videos from too. But before all of that, I went to Romans International to test drive the AMG GT. Now, I had been thinking as a possible idea that because my AMG GTR was originally planned to arrive, well, quite soon, ready for this year's events, that would have been the perfect car. Maybe I'd try the AMG GT, but as a lot of you pointed out, it would take away some of the specialness of the GTR when it eventually arrives. So it's got me thinking about something else, about what else could be an addition to use this year. So I want to explain a little bit about the sort of financial side, because I think a lot of people are sort of, why would you buy another car? You've already got all of these. Well, each of these cars is actually still planned to go on a lot of trips. The FF is going to do the Geneva tour down to the motor show and into the Alps afterwards, and the LT and GT8 both have various things planned too. But I don't want to waste mileage on these cars. They are so special, and I've already done an awful lot in the LT Spider, that basically, were I to do another 8, 9, 10,000 miles this year in either of these, they would take an absolute killing on the value. So I want to look after them and use them for the more sort of special events in my life. Yes, I don't intend to sell them anytime soon, but one day I might need to, and I don't want them to have been abused and basically not even properly appreciated. And I think that's quite a hard one to explain, but I only want to do miles, especially in the GT8, that I get out of the car thinking, that was awesome. So if I did these 10,000 miles, let's say on one of these, it would probably depreciate the value by £20,000, £30,000, which is basically less than it would cost me to buy another car. No, that's wrong, a total fail. More than it would cost me to buy another car. In the sort of 100, 150,000 region in terms of its depreciation, which is what it actually costs me to own. Depreciation, insurance, and servicing. So it's all about what it actually costs, not about the sort of price tag of the car. So I've got everything planned, and these are going to be doing loads of tours, do not worry about that, loads and loads of trips. But it leaves this sort of vacancy for another car to do some long distance mileage journeys, to be met by these two, maybe at the other end of the drive, if they've been transported down, in addition to the FF, because of the amount of miles I've already done in that, and I'm going to continue doing in it. It's done maybe 13,000 so far in a year and a bit. I'm going to do 3,000 miles down to Geneva and back, and with a Ferrari, it needs servicing, it needs looking after, plus the value concerns if I drive it too much. So because of the way this all sort of added up, I was like, this makes sense, and it could genuinely be a good idea, as well as being quite fun. But this is where you guys come in, because after that AMG GT video, I got flooded with comments everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, literally you name it, any site, well, obviously YouTube comments. Basically thousands upon thousands upon thousands of ideas for what it should be, and it was kind of impossible to keep up and work out how to do this. So we're going to be working with Qt, and you can see the link down in the description below to Qt, where you can head over and take part in some polls to help me find my new GT supercar that I'm going to be using in content this year, like the Where's Shmee Euro Tour and various other trips that are going to be coming up. So Qt is this new website that's going to let me categorize all of your comments and put a couple of polls to you so that we can try and narrow this down, what it's going to be. And I've been having some thoughts myself about this. I don't think it's right to have a new front-engined V8 car, just because we've got the GT8, we're going to have the AMG GTR, and I've got another V8 in the form of the LT, of course. So V8 engine's kind of done a lot, unless, of course, the right car comes up. I want it to be a car that's good for long distance. I want it to have luggage space, either a decent boot or back seats and a boot combination. Maybe if there's an option of a convertible, that would be nice, because it's going to spend a lot of time around Europe, south of France, Italy, that kind of thing. Well, not a lot of time, but a couple of these trips, you know what I mean. I think, well, you know I have a slight addiction towards British, McLaren, Aston, of course. So Rolls-Royce, Bentley, another Aston. We've got options here. I don't really know. I need kind of input from you guys and thoughts. I don't want it to be sort of one of the sort of super sedans like the RS7 or the E63, because I don't think they're quite the specialness that I'm looking for. They don't have that kind of supercar identity. The Panamera, I'll imagine a lot of people will suggest, that's kind of in the eyes for potential FF replacement like the GTC4 Lusso, so that's a way off. Let's not worry about that yet. So we're talking supercar, Grand Tourer, probably engine in front rather than behind. Yeah, hit us on Qt with the ideas and suggestions. What do you think should be the new Shmee-mobile for this year? I think that's pretty much it. I need your guys' advice. We're going to pick the car together, then we'll go down the process to reveal it just in time for Where's Shmee Euro Tour 2017 to Top Marks Monaco. It's not going to be a hot hatch, it's not going to be a Lusso or Panamera to replace the FF, and I don't think it should be a V8 engine car alongside these two as well. But head over to Qt, let me know your thoughts. The link is right down below. And it will be great to see where we get to and what it's going to be, what the car is going to be that is going to join all of these on the road. But I suppose I've almost forgotten one of the cool things about today. I now have a new garage. This is the home for my cars. They're alongside one another. It looks pretty cool if you ask me. They're nicely spaced out and they're on trickle chargers, so no more flat batteries. And spot the difference. So the cars are now turned around under some new covers that I have bought from Specialized Covers. So we've got purple and silver for the LT Spider and the blue with the orange pinstripe for the GT8. I kind of felt it had to be done when I knew the cars were going to have a new home and I wanted them to be undercover. So next up, I'll probably need to order myself an FF1 and maybe one for whatever the new car is going to be, because this is the start of the journey. It sounds a little bit ridiculous to be talking about buying car number 6, but I'm very excited to have you guys part of this one and to help me choose what that's going to be and what car it will be taking part in the adventures of this year. But for now, this is the new home. Cars are parked up where they're going to be kind of living on rotation, I suppose, depending what trips are happening and where I am heading. But they're looking, well, quite cool actually under the cover. I like this one a lot. I had a 12C cover that I've basically been using on all the McLarens since, which I'm now going to try and forcefully put over the top of the FF. But these two, under their proper manufactured fitted kind of soft indoor covers, with the trickles plugged in to my rather amusing blue power lead at the other end. Anyway, this is it, the start of the adventure for the next car that's going to take part in this year's adventures. So do become part of it. Check out the link to Qt down below, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. But that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll catch up with you again very soon. Cheers.